You know, every single second of every single day, there's this microscopic construction project going on inside your cells. It's unbelievably complex, and it's so fundamental that it's literally building you as we speak. Okay, so let's dive into this amazing process, how your body builds a protein. It really all comes down to this one big question, right? From the way you think to the way you move, how does one tiny cell know how to build all of the complicated machinery that keeps you alive? Well, the answer is one of the most elegant and honestly essential processes in all of biology. So, at the very heart of this whole operation are proteins. The best way to think of them is as the tireless workers inside your body. They're the builders, the messengers, the defenders. They're doing almost all of the heavy lifting to keep you up and running. And their job descriptions? They're incredibly diverse. I mean, proteins build your muscles, sure. But on top of that, they act as enzymes to make chemical reactions happen faster. They form the hemoglobin that carries oxygen all through your blood. And they're the antibodies that fight off germs. Without proteins, life just wouldn't happen. So, how in the world does a cell make these essential workers? Well, you can think of it like a two-act play. The first act is called transcription, and the second one is called translation. Let's break down exactly what happens in each of these steps. Okay, so everything has to start with the master plan, right? The ultimate architectural blueprint for your entire body. And that blueprint, of course, is your DNA. But there's a catch. A pretty big security measure, you could say. See? It's all tucked away, super safe, inside the command center of the cell, which is called the nucleus. Your DNA holds the unique genetic code for every single protein your body could ever possibly need to make. It's like a vast library holding priceless information. And this right here is the central problem. The construction site, the factory floor where proteins are actually built, is outside the nucleus. So if the master blueprint can't leave the library, how on earth do the instructions get to the factory floor? And that is where Act 1, transcription, comes into play. The cell knows it can't risk damaging the original DNA blueprint, so it does the next best thing. It makes a temporary, disposable copy of just the specific instructions it needs right at that moment. This copy is called messenger RNA, or just mRNA for short. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like this. Imagine your DNA is a giant, priceless reference book in a library. You wouldn't check out the whole book and drag it to a construction site, right? No way. You just photocopy the one page, the one recipe that you need. That disposable photocopy, that's the mRNA. The process itself is actually pretty simple and elegant. First, the section of DNA that has the gene we need just unzips its double helix. Then, some cellular machinery comes along and reads one of those exposed strands like a template. And finally, it builds a new matching strand of mRNA, capturing that code perfectly. So this copy gets made by matching up these chemical bases, kind of like letters in an alphabet. But there's one key substitution you have to know about. Cytosine, or C, always pairs with guanine, G. A thymine, or T, on the DNA gets matched with an adenine, A. But here's the twist. Wherever there's an adenine, or A, on the DNA, the mRNA copy uses a different base called uracil, or U. So in the language of RNA, A pairs with U. All right, so our messenger RNA has the instructions. It's managed to leave the nucleus. The photocopy is officially out of the library. Now it's time for Act 2, translation. This is where that coded message gets translated into an actual physical product. And this all happens at a structure called the ribosome. So if the nucleus is the command center, the ribosome is the bustling factory floor. It is specialized in one thing and one thing only, building proteins. Now, the ribosome doesn't read the mRNA's instructions one letter at a time. Nope. It reads them in three-letter words. Each of these three-letter sequences is called a codon. And each codon is a specific command, like add this piece here or now add that piece. And what are these pieces that the codons are calling for? Well, they're called amino acids. These are the fundamental building blocks, the Lego bricks, if you will, of all proteins. There are about 20 different kinds, and the specific order you link them in determines everything about the final protein. The whole thing works just like a molecular assembly line. It's amazing. The ribosome clamps onto the mRNA and starts reading the code, codon by codon. For each codon it reads, another type of RNA, called transfer RNA, acts like a little delivery truck, bringing in the one specific amino acid that matches that code. The ribosome then links that amino acid to the growing chain, moves to the next codon, and does it again, over and over until it finally hits a stop codon. And at that point, the finished protein is released and sent off to do its job. And just like that, poof, a set of abstract instructions written in a chemical code has been transformed into a tangible, functional machine. It's the journey from blueprint to reality, and it's happening trillions of times over, inside you at this very moment. Let's make this really concrete. Say you just ate a meal. Your body needs insulin to manage all that sugar in your blood. So the gene for insulin in your DNA gets transcribed into mRNA. That mRNA message travels out to a ribosome, which then translates the code, linking amino acids in the exact right order to build the insulin protein. It's a perfect on-demand manufacturing system. This fundamental flow of genetic information, from the permanent storage in DNA to the temporary message in mRNA to the final functional protein, this is known as the central dogma of biology. It's the simple, elegant rulebook that explains how stored information becomes a working part of a living thing. This is the process that makes life possible. It is truly incredible when you stop and think about it. This elegant dance of molecules is the foundation for everything you are and everything you do. As you're sitting here right now, trillions of these microscopic factories are humming away inside you, building, repairing, creating. It is the engine of life itself, constantly at work. So what will you build today?